Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. A very controversial decision win for Johnny Fisher against Dave Allen in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on the Usyk Fury 2 undercard. You had Johnny Fisher getting a split decision win, 95-94 on two cards, and Dave Allen 96-93 on the third card. So Fisher 13-0 and gets the WBA Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship title in the process. But controversial because I think for most people who saw this fight, the wrong man got the decision. Johnny Fisher, in my view, did not win that fight. Sure, he started off strong, and you can make a case, I think, for the first 4 rounds of the fight, especially the first 3. Started well, but started to tire, and Dave Allen hurt him badly in the 5th round, drops him, and effectively takes over the fight. For the rest of the fight, from rounds 5 all the way through, Dave Allen, for the most part, was getting the better of the action. You had a lot of heart and determination and grit from Johnny Fisher, who was obviously at times getting hurt and fighting hurt. He was thrown to the ground by Dave Allen. He was getting old-manned a little bit by Allen, who was leaning on him, tiring him. But it was Allen who was landing, for the most part, the eye-catching shots. He was putting combinations together. And this was by no means a classic in terms of the back and forth of a spectacle. It was more like a war of attrition. But you had Dave Allen gritting it out and getting those shots in, getting the work away, putting together, when he was landing combinations, he'd land a right hand and then throw on an uppercut and sometimes a left hook. And it was Johnny Fisher's lack of defense. The hands were, and you can see this winning photo, his hands were like this pretty much most of the fight, basically offering Dave Allen his noggin. And Dave Allen was taking it, rocking him with right hands, rocking him with left hooks, and also at different points when they were in close, landing uppercuts. And it was Allen who was the one who was doing the damage in there. Fisher was the one who was caught more often, and actually the stats, they put them up after the fight. You had Dave Allen landing more shots overall in the fight, and that would have come mostly after round 3. Because that's where the tide started to turn. You had Johnny Fisher starting to sort of blow quite hard. He started quite well. There was a lot of shots coming in hard and heavy, especially body shots, and it was a good strategy early on. He was working the jab and throwing a lot to the body. There was 15 body shots landed after about 2 and a bit rounds, and he looked like he was controlling the action. But then he started to have a little bit of the sort of gaping mouth, taking in the big ones, and you could see he was starting to fall off just a little bit in terms of activity. The jab wasn't as consistent, and Dave Allen started to make some inroads. There was the odd looping right hand starting to find the target. And listen, I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of this fight happening because Dave Allen hasn't shown much in recent times. Remembering, he retired a couple of years ago, and it's been a pretty inconsistent comeback, sort of stop-start, hasn't really shown us a lot. He retired after 5 rounds against Fraser Clark, didn't necessarily look that good in that one before ending because of injury. But in this one here, he was just taking the shots from Fisher, absorbing the punishment. There was clearly a strategy where he was going to try to take some punishment and see what could happen, especially as the fight wore on. And it really did start to pay off. Maybe apart from the last round where it was a little bit more even, Dave Allen was the one who was getting the best of it, landing more shots. And after about round 3, he was the one landing, a lot more consistently than Fisher, who would have moments of success, but it wasn't enough to get the majority of the rounds. And Allen, with the knockdown, in my view, should have taken that one. I think 96-93 is a fair reflection of what happened. Maybe 95-94 at best, because the last round was, it was closer. Allen sort of obviously quite tired as well. There were spots in there where Allen was looking a bit ragged, but he would rally and he would keep continuing. But you have to say, both these guys showed huge sort of guts and determination to sort of gut their way through all 10 rounds of this fight. But Dave Allen, in my view, didn't get the decision that he should have. It would have been one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win of his career, at least of late. I mean, that Lucas Brown performance a number of years ago, maybe that will still remain the high watermark, but he should have had this one. I don't think there's a case to say that Johnny Fisher won 6 rounds. And even if he won 6 rounds, you've got to knock one off for the knockdown. I can't see a case to give this to Fisher. But 2 of the 3 judges, and remember Fisher is the home fighter, he's got the decision here. And I think a lot of people are going to be very outraged. Even heavyweight fighters and other fighters are not happy with this online. From Matchroom's Instagram page, you can see here, this is Fisher with the winning graphic. You've got Marco Milan, Eddie Hearn, you won, not Johnny Fisher. Shokwan Poani, he lose. Dave Allen deserve respect, and guys, not even close. Judges need to watch different sport. So, they're fighters. And there's a lot of other people saying, similar things. You do have this person here saying these sorts of decisions do nothing but harm the sport. Glad the crowd booed the result. So what were your scorecards? How did you score this one? Please let me know. And in terms of Fisher and his next steps and that sort of stuff, I'm going to do a video in the next day or two sort of reflecting on this card. I'll come back to some of this because obviously this was a fight where Johnny Fisher struggled. Not only did he have a gut check, he was dropped for the first time in his career. People will say that he was exposed. And I know that Fisher himself and perhaps his dad John, they'll believe that Fisher got the decision and deserves it. I don't know. Maybe we'll see a rematch between these two. But it's clear that Fisher has got a lot more developing to do. I didn't like this fight coming in, more so because I thought Allen was washed. And this is a faded version of Dave Allen. And Johnny Fisher struggled with Dave Allen, this version of him. Sure, Dave Allen was in better condition than we've seen him in the past couple of years, but it is a more faded version of Dave Allen, and plenty of heavyweights have fought a better version of Dave Allen and come through it. Sure, there's risk with some of the shots, and Dave Allen is not a slouch, but if you're going somewhere in the heavyweight division, you best be beating Dave Allen, and relatively convincingly. So questions to be asked here. What did you make of the fight? What did you make of the decision? Do you see Johnny Fisher getting the decision here? Did Dave Allen get robbed here? Because certainly I think, he was hard done by, and many others do too. Drop a comment loud enough and hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.